Have you been looking for a powered camera with a large field of view to capture everything in one shot from one camera? Then the Reolink Elite Wi-Fi could be what you've been looking for. I will be going over everything from general specs to setup and everything you can do in the application, as well as a battery of real-world testing. I'm Wanderer 001. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. To start things off, Reolink did reach out to me and provided me with the Elite Wi-Fi for the purposes of doing a review. However, they do not get a say into the content of this video. Starting things off with a general look at the hardware, you are looking at a camera that is 5 inches wide, has a height of 2.2 and a width or length from front of the camera to your mounting hardware here in the back of 6 inches. This is actually not Reolink's first foray into making a powered dual lens camera. Their Duo 3 was a much larger camera than this, and the fact that Reolink was able to shrink down the specs for that camera into something like this is very impressive. The real difference that I found with the Duo 3 compared to this one, aside from the size, is actually the construction. On the Duo 3, it was a metal body that actually had warnings on it that it would get too hot if you touched it. This does not get hot at all and still maintains the excellent field of view and resolution that you had with the Duo 3 in a remarkably small package. Coming to the front of our camera system here, we've got LED indicator light, microphone. We have 3 2-watt 6500 Kelvin LED lights, allowing you to see color at night. And if you prefer black and white, you have 6 850 nanometer IR lights that project out from the camera up to 100 feet away, depending on mounting. But let's come back to the main focal points of this camera, and that is our dual lens system. You are looking at a 1/2.7 CMOS sensor for both of your lenses, giving you a resolution of 5120 by 1552, giving you 4K with 8 megapixels. The field of view that you get from the camera is 180 horizontal with 59 vertical. Now, this will be stitching, and there will be a line in the middle of your video as it puts two different views together, giving you one seamless video from this. You also have up to 20 frames a second for your video with this camera, and it supports digital zoom. It's going to be a pinch to zoom, but that's perfectly fine. You're going to see a lot with this camera. Coming to the bottom of our camera, there is a weather-tight door here that is screwed into place. This houses your micro SD card slot. This camera supports up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, but if you're not a fan of micro SD card or having this out exposed, even though it's screwed in, this camera supports Reolink's Home Hub, Reolink's NVR system, as well as FTP/NAS servers. So you have a plethora of ways to save your video footage from this camera. Also, under the door with our micro SD card is our power and our reset button. And here is our speaker. If we come back up to the top and the back, as I will call it, top, there's nothing really to look at, but the back, we have 2 adjustable Wi-Fi antennas, and these are a little better in my opinion than the one we had on the Duo 3. They're just a little easier to manipulate. The camera itself supports 2.4 as well as 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. So if you need longer range versus faster speeds, you have that option. It also supports Wi-Fi 6. We also have our mounting, which I kind of have in pieces because I took this off and just kind of plopped it down for the review. But here we can see our actual mounting for it and the pigtail, which I'll bring into frame here, which houses our power for this. And it does have a convenient cap, but I don't know why you use that because it'd be plugged into another power source. But I do like the fact for the mounting backer here, they actually give you a little gasket to one cushion, but also help make a tighter seal on whatever you happen to be affixing your camera to. And you might be able to hear that. That mounting back there is all metal. which is a nice thing to see in a consumer-based security camera. The camera itself has an IP rating of 66, and during my testing period, it has been rained on, it has been snowed on, and I would say that's a pretty good test. Yes, the lenses, depending on how you have this mounted, can get a little wet or condensation on them, but again, that's depending on your mounting versus how I was testing this out. Your operating temperature is between 14 degrees and 131 degrees Fahrenheit, and as I said, I've had some snow, so this has been down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit and has had absolutely no issues. And as I stated before, with the Duo 3, I actually have a thermometer and view from when I reviewed that camera of steam coming off of that camera. I did not have that issue with the Elite Wi-Fi here. For your supported voice assistants, surprisingly, only Google is listed, but now that we've seen all that the camera has to offer, what else do we get with it? Let me show you. Mounting sticker, surveillance sticker, warm-up tips, other products that you can purchase, and operational instructions, power cable extender, power brick, mounting screws and anchors, antennae for your camera, and then the camera itself. We're moving on. This is a smart device. There's going to be a setup process for it. How was it? Let me show you. Have your Reolink app here. Get your SD card installed on your camera. We'll plug it in a moment.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
So we're going to try and do this real quick because it's going to go through about every other language. You're going to hit the plus sign in the upper right hand corner here. You're going to scan the QR code on the top of this. Home hub or standalone. We're going to do this as standalone. All right, configure Wi-Fi. We're going to put in my Wi-Fi credentials. After inputting my Wi-Fi credentials, got to create a password for just this device. We're going to turn off the illegal lockout. Once you put in your password for the device, it'll let you know if it's good or not. We'll hit next. Where is this going to be located? I'm going to say this is the garage. I do have a micro SD card in there, so it's going to format it. Yep. If you don't have a micro SD card, it will continue to nag you until you put one in there. And then last is the QR code that I am not showing you if you want to share this device with family or friends. And then right there is a live feed for the camera. So that was set up. Now that our camera is set up and probably in place by now, this is a smart Wi-Fi security camera. That means that there's going to be an application. From the application, we can control things such as AI smart detection, virtual fences, zone intrusion, zone lingering, and more. I want to state before we jump into the application that those AI smart detections and all the virtual zones are absolutely free. Reolink does not charge you a fee in order for you to use those types of services, while other manufacturers do. Something to think about as we go through what I consider one of the most comprehensive and customizable consumer-based applications. Let me show you. Here we can see on our main page, it's listed with my other Reolink cameras and hub. If we want to change this view, we can simply select this icon right here and I'll shrink everything down. I can bring it back so I can see a little image right there. If I want to reorder, I can click that and just drag things around and then hit save. Don't necessarily need to do that, but we're going to click into things so that we start this camera up. Here we can see this is actually a live feed from this camera. It shows the name in the upper left-hand corner here, as well as our bitrate. To the right of that, we have our siren. If I select this and tap, it will set the alarm off outside, but don't necessarily want to do that because I know my neighbor's out there. To the right of that, we have our torch or LED lights. So doing that, we'll turn them on. Can't really tell because it's not dark yet, but I appreciate the fact that Reolink gives you this little blue in front of the flashlight icon to let you know that those lights are on. To the right of the flashlight, we have our view. So right now we have single view. I can select this and have a multi-camera view if I wanted to. And we're just going to put that back to the single view because my other Reolink cameras are not on at the moment. We'll talk about the sprocket icon a little later. To the right of the sprocket icon, we have our 3 dots. This will allow us to change our day-night mode. We can do auto, which will switch between the two automatically based on ambient light. We can select black and white, forcing it to be in night mode all the time, or we can select color, which will allow it to be in color night mode. Coming back up here, we have immersive mode. If I select that, it pretty much gets rid of everything except for the camera view. We're going to go back because I don't particularly care for that. I do like picture-in-picture, which will allow me to float my Reolink camera view while I'm doing other things. And we'll just pop back into that. Coming down to our live feed. If I double tap the live feed, that's another quick way to get into your multi-camera feed. I'm going to go back to my single camera and This does support pinch to zoom. So right there, I can zoom in, show you exactly what that looks like right there. You can even see the difference between the two lenses, like right there. That's one side, that's the other side. So the side right here is still getting light, while this side is kind of starting to become a little darker. I can double tap to pull that view all the way out. Coming down, we have play pause. This will play pause our live feed. To the right of that, we have our audio, so turning on and off our audio from the camera. Next to that, we have our picture or camera view. So using that, we'll take a still image of whatever happens to be on camera at that time. To the right of that, we have our video. This will record in real time whatever happens to be in view at that time. To the right of that is our clarity. They call it clear and fluent, but think of it as low and high for your video acuity. And to the right of that, we have full screen mode, which I like to show because it does move some of the icons around. So here we can see those icons we were talking about before, as well as audio and multi-camera view. I can select to go back to our single view as we had it before. Moving down, we have our talk. If I select this, I tap to talk, and right now my audio is going out to the camera itself, and then I will tap it again. This means that this camera supports full duplex, so I don't have to press and hold in order for that to work. It just allows me to have a conversation in real time. To the right of that, we have our playback. We'll give this a second to load up because this has been running all day and has 24/7 recording enabled. So it did take a little bit for that to pop up. But in the upper right-hand corner here, if I select this first icon, that's motion tracking, which I'll show you in a moment. To the right of that, we have our speed. We can have this go as slow as 0.25, as fast as 16 times. And then to the right of that, we have our download. This might be a little easier to show you if I come down to our filters and then filter for specific events that I want to see on the timeline. In this case, I'm going to filter for pets and people and then drag this along because I know I was out here messing around about this time. So there I am. And if I select that first option, this is our motion tracking timestamp. So as I would walk through frame, and we'll let that generate, it's going to give me timestamps and show me exactly what I looked like, where I was, and at what time. It's going to be a still image that gets downloaded, so it's not going to be a video, but this is kind of helpful if you have somebody who is hanging around for an extended period of time and you need to know what they were up to. Now, to the right of that, we have this download, which is easier to show when something's actually in frame. But here we have the ability to clip this down and then select download. Now it says clear because I have my download section here set for the higher video feed, which is important. Here we have play pause, audio, camera, video camera, just like we had before, clarity, clear and fluent, high and low. Make sure to set this in both places because if you just set it in the live feed, the video downloads that you get will be in the lower resolution. Here we have our full screen. We have our calendar allowing us to select. Now, yes, I do realize that there's not a lot highlighted because these white numbers mean there's something there, but I've been running 24/7 recording on a 64 gigabyte card. So you're going to want to think about bigger card if you're going to do that. To the right of our calendar, we have our view. So this is more of a tile view versus the timeline or list view, and then we can close that out if we wanted to. But I'm going to come back in here primarily because I want to show you once I have my filters set up again and I scrub to find something. Wanted to bring up an event because if I come here and scrub this timeline, that little white slash that you see over there on the right, when I get close to it, that lets you know that that's where the event is. So just about there is where it detected a pet. And if I play it, hopefully, yep, there you go. There's a cat wandering into frame. So that's what your timeline and filtering look like. To the right of our playback and downloads area, we have cloud events. This is a paid service. I don't pay for it, so I have nothing there to show you. But that has been everything that we can do for the camera controls. If we select the sprocket icon in the upper right-hand corner, that brings us into the settings for the camera. First and foremost, at the top, we have our name, and it'll show us how much space is being used up in our SD card. Selecting that will also show you a lot of sensitive information, so I won't be showing you that, but you can check your firmware there. Coming down, we have our Wi-Fi. Need to change your Wi-Fi, you can do so right there. And this is letting me know that it spotted somebody in my backyard. Thankfully, I know who's out there. Coming down, we have display. This will show you an actual live feed from the camera, which is always helpful, and then allow you to make adjustments. Right here, we have our stream. We can select the high or low, and then we can modify our frame rate. So if we want to come in here, we can do auto or constant, We can also change that for our bit rate, but we have the ability to change to a certain extent some of the things here. So do we want to have our frame rate adjusted, encoding? All that can be changed. As you can see, a lot of customization, which I really like about Reolink cameras. Under the stream, we have our anti-flicker. You can select your hertz rate. Generally, that's going to be for LED lights that you need to change that might have come from a different location than where you're actually living. Here we have our day-night mode. So this is another location that we can change it from auto, color, or black and white. And then we have our brightness. So if for whatever reason your screen looks a little dark, like mine does right now, but that's because the lights are going down, you can increase your screen brightness. Or if you have the sun in your face, you can lower it to make it darker. So I keep it about 50, which is right in the middle there. Coming down, we have our camera name. You can change its location, top left, top center, top right, bottom, etc. And our date. Right now I have it hidden, but we can change its location, top left, top center, top right, bottom left, etc. And then we have our logo watermark, which is the Reolink watermark. So turn that on and off if you like. Here we have our privacy mask. If we turn this on, this will allow us to select an area to have a privacy mask. So hypothetically, this house over here, if I don't want to see it, I simply create a box. And what this box will do is in the live feed, in the recordings, it will block it out. You will not be able to see it. And since this is a stationary camera, you don't have to worry about that box moving around on you. So it's a good feature. Like right there, you can see there's the box. Coming down, we have advanced. This is the threshold by which it will switch color. So you can actually customize when it will switch over to black and white mode, which I really like. Not a lot of manufacturers do that. Here we have image stitching. This will allow you to adjust that line in the middle. So if things look a little wonky based on where you have this, you can kind of change the distance and the horizontal and vertical to try and make it look a little more seamless. I honestly haven't really had that much of a problem, but right there, if I wanted to try and correct the lines right there, I can shift them around. So there, now the lines are more even. The rest of the picture might be a little off. But if you mess around too much, just know you can always restore the default and it will go back to how it was. Moving on, we have brightness and shadow. Everything currently is on auto mode, but if you wanted to make some adjustments on your own, simply turn off color day mode right here, and it will allow you to adjust the brightness and adjust the shadows. And if you really mess this up, you can always restore defaults just by clicking here, or just swap it back to auto mode. Coming down, you have the same controls for black and white and for your colored night mode. Again, a lot of customization is given to you in their app. Coming back, that was all under our display. If we move on to sound, we have our toggle for actually recording audio in case you live in an area that does not allow you to do that. Just know this is off by default, so you will want to come in here and turn this on. You have your sound volume as well as a test, and then noise reduction on or off to help with the background noise you might get from this, which is actually really impressive. Next, we have our light. We have status LED light enabled, so you can select no, I don't want that, or you can select enable. I wish they would call it on and off instead of closed and enabled, but that's just me. Here we have our spotlight. Currently, I have it on night smart mode, which will automatically turn it on when it detects specific things. So in my case, person, vehicle, or animal, I'm going to turn off vehicle because it's in a backyard, so it's not going to get anybody like that. And then you have your brightness levels right there. I have it keyed up right now, almost to max. But if you didn't want the smart mode, you can select timer mode, which is it'll keep it on for a scheduled period of time. So start time and end time, so your overnight. Or you can do close, which is just going to keep it off altogether and not turn on. Coming back, we have our infrared lights. So you have auto or close, so on or off. Moving on, we have our detection alarm. What is unique to Reolink, which is a non-detection zone. So rather than selecting where you want the thing to go off, you select where you don't want it to go off. In my case, I can paint this area over here. I don't care if I see anything, or you paint everything and it just blacks everything out. You can erase everything, or if I did this over here, I can erase specific segments that I want. But again, remember, this is for non-detection zone, so you don't want to be notified. It's a little odd. Here we have our motion mask. If we turn that on, it'll put a box around a target moving through frame to make it more easily identifiable for you. Here we have our sensitivity. Motion sensitivity is set for high, meaning if it detects any type of motion. And then we have our smart detections. We have levels. So I want to be really high with our person. Don't necessarily care about vehicles because they're not back there. And animals, I want really high as well. And then save, you have the ability to adjust for specific types, which is great. Coming back, we have alarm delay. So if you have motion alarm turned on, how quickly do you want it to go off? So for a person, yes, go off right away. Animal, I want to give you a chance to get out of there before the alarm goes off to spook you. Again, customization is key with a Reolink camera. Object size, this allows us to select for person, pet, and vehicle the minimum object size and the maximum object size. And for a pet, this will probably make a little more sense. Minimum object size before it gets detected. So let's say I only really care about squirrels, cats, bunnies, things of that nature. You have to be a minimum of that size in order to go off. Or I care about coyotes, foxes, things of that nature. Needs to be a maximum of that size before it'll go off and give me a detection. So that's our object size. We have our perimeter protection. These are newer to Reolink cameras, but I greatly appreciate them, which is first being line cross alert. So we're going to add a line cross. And then here we could see we have our purple line, which I'll place in the shadowy area. Save. And right now, the line cross happens both ways for person, vehicle, and animals. I can adjust the sensitivity, or if I come into edit, I can change the line. So now it's only things that come this way. Now it's only things that go this way. Or if I want it both ways, or I can reset everything and start again. And that is our line cross. Next, we have zone intrusion. Similar concept, but it's a box. And this will allow you to give it a name. What type of intrusion are you looking for? Alarm delay after intrusion. And then sensitivity. If I have this area right over here, and I'll put this up on the big screen so it's a little easier to see. The box has plus signs allowing you to create handles that you can manipulate the size, shape of, etc. And what will happen is if I save this and somebody gets in there, a person, pet, or vehicle, they have 7 seconds before the alarm goes off, telling them to leave. So that's intrusion. And then we have zone loitering. Similar concept. You give it a name, what type, alarm delay, and sensitivity. So how long a person hangs out in an area instead of a person going into that area. So that's all under perimeter protection. Moving on, we have our camera recording. Toggle that on and off. You have your motion record schedule. So right now, I can come up here and I can say, don't care about that. I only care about people and pets, and save. And now on this schedule, it will be just for those. Now, right there, this is me turning things off based on eraser icons down here. So we're going to cancel and come back. We have our post-recording duration. How long after a recording has happened will it continue to record? So we've got 15, 30, or up to a minute. And then we have our continuous recording schedule, which is 24/7. I just have that on all the time because if you're going to get a powered camera, you might as well use that. Moving on, we have our push notifications. I have them enabled. I don't really care about the device ringtone, but you can select your ringtone right there. You can set up a schedule. I have it all the time for these specific things. I can set up snooze alerts. So, hey, just chill for a set amount of time. And then push interval. It only goes as low as 20 seconds. I wish that they would lower that a little more. 120 seconds is okay, but I wish that I could get like 5 or 10 seconds. That's just me. The snooze alerts is rather helpful, especially if you're out there doing yard work and don't want to constantly be getting alerted. Email alerts. So if you don't want push notification to your phone and you have an email, you can select this and have it push notifications to your email. It's helpful if you sit in front of a computer all day. Here we have FTP. You can turn this on and off. You have your full configuration there. Here we have our siren. You can enable or disable. You've got your siren sound. You've got your default sound, or you can create a custom sound. Simply select start and hey, I see you, get off my lawn. Keep talking, so you can see just how long you can make this. There you go, 5 seconds. It's sending it to the camera, which will allow you to hear it by playing, and that will play the audio outside. And then you can hit apply if you wish to use that sound instead of the default sound. You have your schedule. So when would I like this to happen? For what? All motion, person, vehicle, and pet. I will leave that as is. And then you have your enable/disabled. Coming down, we have linked devices. Right now, I don't have any, but I can hit the plus sign up here and then create a linked device. But again, I have all my other Reolink cameras off at the moment. Coming down, we have share device. Selecting this will allow me to share this device. If I select the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, you can either allow management, so like an admin, or view only. And then you can also stop when they are authorized to access the camera. Reolink is the only camera manufacturer that I've tested that has something like this, and you can create remarks and then generate an authorization code to share with that other person. Down here we have time lapse. Can select try now. They have predefined ones, so event and people, traffic, moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction, blooming, or custom. Custom will allow you to set your capture when you want to start it, what date and time, duration, interval, quality, and file type. Always recommended that you use video, because if you don't and you do one of these, you'll have thousands of photos that you'll have to stitch together on your own. Underneath time lapse, we have file encryption. Right now I have that off, but if you turn this on, you have to put in your secondary password. But what will happen is if the device is stolen or the SD card is removed, people won't be able to get into it because it's encrypted. They would need to put it into a camera, Reolink camera, using the app and have access to your password. So if you really care about keeping your data safe, that's going to be a great feature for you. And then under that, we have advanced, which will allow us to turn on and off illegal lockout, which is if somebody tries to log into your camera with the incorrect password too many times, it will lock them out. You have change device password, and then you have setting your date and time. You can just let it sync to your phone, and then you can reboot and restore from here. Or if we come back to this page, we have log out of device and delete device. And that has been everything that we can do for the Reolink Elite Wi-Fi in the Reolink app. Now that we've seen everything that we can do for this camera in the app, what's next? For me, I like to do testing. And because this is a powered solution, the first test that I like to do is actual power usage or power consumption for the camera. Starting off during the day, it uses 4.8 watts of power. At night, using the IR lights, it uses 6.4 watts of power. And if you're using the LEDs at night, it uses 5.7 watts of power. Yes, the IR lights actually use more power than the LEDs. That's because one, you have less LEDs than you do than the IR lights. Moving on, we have audio. The camera itself does very good considering the size of the speaker and its placement, both from the app to the camera and from the camera to the app. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a listen.
Audio test. Reolink Elite Wi-Fi. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Reolink Elite Wi-Fi audio test. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test. Reolink Elite Wi-Fi alarm sound. Moving on, we have video. To start things off, I will say in the upper right-hand corner there will be a link to another video that has the raw video files from this camera, as they will be downscaled to 1080 for this particular video. Starting off with the day, colors are bright and vibrant, but can vary from lens to lens depending on lighting and placement of the camera. Images are sharp and clear with no noticeable pixelization or clarity loss on moving targets. Image detail is very good in making out faces and wording on clothing. In low light, colors look a little muted, but still very distinguishable from each other. Overall image quality still remains clear. Moving targets do show some artifacting, but not bad at all. It really only softens the edges on a moving target, and that's even on a faster moving target. No ghosting was seen in low light situations, which was impressive. At night, using the IR lights have a good throw distance from the camera, lighting up a lot of the surrounding. Objects in video are clear with little to no artifacting on target. Facial detail can be lost depending on how close the target is to the IR lights, but overall image remains sharp and clear even on fast-moving targets. LED lights at night overall picture looks good with colors being muted but displayed well. And overall image clarity is good. Moving targets and objects further from the camera do lose a little bit of sharpness, and with moving targets showing a good amount of compression, making the overall sharpness of the target not great. However, targets are still identifiable and has no ghosting, which is again impressive because I have tested a lot of other cameras with similar features and there's always some level of ghosting. So while some detail is lost because of compression in the thing you might be tracking, overall picture quality still remains good. Next, detection speed. This is a powered solution, meaning it's going to use a pixel-based detection system, which is going to get you notifications very quickly. Let me show you. This will be a notification speed test for Reolink Elite Wi-Fi. And it's a little tricky to see, but I'll get you to some shade when it starts off. So I know roughly where this would start, which is like here it should see me. So let's see if we get that notification. There we go. Reolink person detected. 3 seconds. Only problem is there's a 20-second cooldown between this and the next notification. Now, there has been a lot about this camera that I really like. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't a few cons that I want to make you aware of about this camera. First being, the 2-lens setup can have one lens washed out while the other is still working. You'll see this mostly in the late evening, early day, when one can condensate over or depending on where the sun is in the sky. The split lens can also look a little wonky when something gets close to it and moves between the 2 lenses. You can adjust a little bit of that in the application, but just know you might see some weird looking video from this. Next, limited vertical field of view. This is great if you want to keep track of what's going on in a large horizontal view, but it does limit what you can see vertically. This isn't a true con, but more of a know before you buy situation. If you're trying to get something that's tall, you might not want this because it's going to get something that's wide much better. The last and biggest con, no pun intended, has to do with our power in the back here. While I do appreciate the fact that they give you an extender that is an extraordinarily generous amount, the actual plug itself that plugs into your electrical receptacle is way on the chunky side, and to the point where if you're using this in an outdoor outlet like I am, which has weatherproofing all around it, you're really only going to be able to get this plug and only this plug into the electrical outlet. Because of the way that these prongs are designed, it's going to cover up the other outlet, or if you try and use it at the end, it's not going to be able to close or even come close to closing your weatherproofing box outdoors. I do not understand. It feels like this was an oversight. Unless this does require a lot more power, it requires a brick like this. But based on my power testing, it's not that bad compared to other alternatives that have a much smaller power brick. Overall, if you need to monitor a wide area and are looking for a small form factor camera with the security that comes with a powered solution, then the Reolink Elite Wi-Fi is well worth a look. Despite the few small cons that I have found with the dual lens system, I can strongly recommend it, especially if you're looking at this versus the Duo 3. Does this sound like the outdoor camera you've been looking for? I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making a comprehensive video like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure this is the right outdoor camera for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.